Doom v Vemus v Vamus Epicureans. This is the Marvel Epic Collection Podcast, one-shot edition. I'm your host, Nick Smith, and I'm joined by...
Stojr from Stojr Shelf. How's it going?
Doing good. As always, with these one-shots, we are participating in Kurtis Findlay's Epic Marvel Podcast Reading Club, and this one-shot is going to be our brief thoughts on today's issue, which is Iron Fist number 15, Enter the X-Men. Alright, this one clearly belongs in the X-Men volume. This is a lighthearted, incidental issue. Iron Fist goes to Misty Knight. A little bit happens before that advance the plot in Iron Man's story, but who cares about that? This is an X-Men show. Iron Fist goes to Misty Knight's apartment to have a chat with her, but forgets that she is away on assignment. Wolverine just so happens to be arriving at the apartment at the same time, seemingly because he's creeping on Jean Grey. Wolverine finds Iron Man inside, thinks he's a burglar, and so starts a brawl. More X-Men begin arriving, though, because Jean is actually throwing a party, and everybody's invited. So the brawl just grows and grows as more X-Men get involved, and it really explodes when Storm is assaulted by a bowl of potato salad. Eventually, Jean arrives, stops the fighting, and everybody talks it out as friends. Alright, Stojr, your thoughts?
I thought this was a fun issue. I mean, it's an excuse to connect some plot threads. Again, I've been reluctant to do the research yet on when exactly Jean had an apartment with Misty. So interested in going back and finding where that connection is. But this is making that connection and sort of expanding upon it. Wolverine's still in the old costume that he picked up in space. So again, another issue of drawing that out to keep it around. Storm uses her powers to change her outfit again, which I thought was maybe a one-time thing because I hadn't seen it or don't recall seeing it through most of the X-Men issues that I've read. But she does that in this issue. Nightcrawler decides that he's not going to use his image inducer. I'm pretty sure that was in this issue, unless I'm mixing things up. He's telling Peter he's not going to use the image inducer anymore. I should be loved for who I am on page 346. So I think that there's a lot of good plot issues, even though this is just kind of the heroes fighting each other because of a case of mistaken identity happening again. I really enjoyed it, and then you have Jean coming in, really showing off her powers and sort of breaking things up at the very end. And maybe even some cameos in the party of Chris Claremont and John Byrne hanging out and having a few drinks.
Yeah, I was going to touch upon that. Let's see here. We got that up there. This is page 353. Agreed. Fun little story. It advances the storyline in the Iron Fist comic, but for the X-Men, it's a nice little breather after those heavy cosmic issues had just wrapped up, even though this isn't in their book. Still, it's fun. We do have that tradition of including the writer and artist in the issue. We have 3 blonde men this time with beards attending the party, so I assume this is Claremont, Byrne, and maybe also Cockrum, because Byrne also had blonde hair and a blonde beard, just as Claremont and Cockrum did. So hopefully that's all 3 of them. I don't really know. There's also a part of me that wonders, given Wolverine and what he's doing this time, are Jean Grey's powers, are they half Spider-Man powers? Because like Peter Parker, she seems to attract the attention of all the, men in this case. Parker attracts all the ladies. And of course, this is particularly bad in the 60s comics where all of the guys on the X-Men, including Professor X, are a little amorous towards Jean. But we get that continuing here with Wolverine. Speaking of Wolverine, perhaps I am wrong. I don't know if I can find the exact image of this. We get the first mention of his name being Logan, right? Does he say it to himself? I had it on page 344, but I think... oh, no, maybe not. Anyway, I did have something else on page 344. Wolverine has either a very sick sense of humor or something else going on. Let's see. Here we go. He says in that second panel there that, quote, "I ain't been hit like that since I was a kid," which introduces some uncomfortable questions. Firstly, this is before we've learned that Wolverine has had his memories wiped, so we, the reader, have to assume that he was beaten a bunch as a kid. So the question is, was he beaten by his peers, or was he beaten by his parents? My mind went to the parents, but maybe that's just because that's the typical stuff you get in dramas like this, so that's uncomfortable. But knowing that Wolverine can't remember his childhood, we have the benefit of hindsight, or foresight, I guess, knowing that. Anyway, this just comes off as a sick joke. So that I thought was a little bit weird. But yeah, fun, simple issue. Just really enjoyed it. Not much more to say there.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. What I like too is it's continuing that connection of the X-Men to the greater Marvel universe, right? Like you introduce the new X-Men, and it feels more organic than the Marvel team up issues, than just kind of like, hey, let's throw them together to fight some villain of the week. This just like you're getting this sense that they're just kind of hanging out together in the background of things. So I think that's really cool and interesting. And I enjoyed the issue. Looking forward to what we got going on next in X-Men 109.
Yeah, I think the inorganic part is having Jean Grey and Misty Knight just happen to be roommates. That's the force bit. But once that's established, them showing them up in the same apartment, that's fine. Okay, I do have a no prize award for this issue. The award for most deserving of a whooping goes to Iron Fist for sticking your goddamn hands in the potato salad. What is wrong with you, dude? Were you raised in a barn? Did Kunlun Library not have a copy of Emily Post? What are you doing, dude? Furthermore, who the heck left the potato salad out in the living room anyway? Alright? You gotta refrigerate that stuff. It's got mayonnaise in it. Dude's gonna get sick sticking his fingers in there and licking it. I was appalled.
Hey man, it was the 70s. You stuck your finger to whatever you wanted back then.
Whoa. Okay, maybe that's just my dirty mind.
Oh, that's sticking out, right? That's all. I don't know what you're thinking of. But.
Here's where I self-censor myself because I went back to the Lalandra joke from the previous episode. Not gonna say it. Not gonna say cloaca. Okay, I did it. Alright, that's it. We better stop here. Hope you've enjoyed our thoughts. If so, follow us on YouTube. We're gonna read, rate, and review a full Epic Collection trade paperback every other week. Thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll see you all again tomorrow.